Pope Leo XIV is keeping his promise to return to Assisi. It will be the second time the Pope visits St. Francis's homeland. The Pope first went in November 2025 to conclude the General Assembly of the Italian Bishops' Conference. 9 months later, he is back again, but for a different reason. Pope Leo will close the Go Franciscan Youth Meeting, where more than 2,000 young people await him.
Si è pensato che fosse
We felt it was important to put young people at the centre, so they were key participants. As I mentioned, over these 2 days, young people are taking part in a full immersion experience of the city of St. Francis. There are moments of prayer, of sharing, of reflections on everything that defines the Franciscan vision, in all its aspects: creation, peace, dialogue, and at various Franciscan sites. The Pope will close with a Mass at Santa Maria degli Angeli, the birthplace of the Franciscan movement. Inside the basilica is the chapel where the saint heard God's call. St. Francis was a wealthy young man who renounced his inheritance and gave up everything to live in poverty.
era il
It
1206.
was 1206, so he was a 21-year-old who had obviously been contemplating this radical and extraordinary act of his. It didn't happen suddenly, but it was a journey that changed his life, the life of this city, and the life of humanity as a whole. So getting to know a young man who was able to put the gospel at the centre of his life and above all to build a community, a brotherhood, like the one Francis built and has since developed through his followers, is truly important. And if there is another young man who has changed the lives of many, it is St. Carlos Acutis, whose remains are also in Assisi. Pope Leo's itinerary doesn't include a visit to him, but it is hoped that he will be mentioned in the Pope's speech.
Io penso di sì, perché non potrebbe fare.
I think so, because the Pope couldn't do otherwise. He was the one who canonised him on September 7th last year. He's a role model, an example, a young person of our times, a young man like Francis. 2 young people, actually. That's why they are the 2 role models who fit well into the perspective of evangelization. From Francis 800 years ago, a giant and a true alter Christus, to Carlo, who at the same time in this world also stripped himself of worldly things. He definitely lived out the Franciscan charism in a different way, of course. The Basilica of St. Francis, the most famous in Assisi, isn't on the Pope's itinerary either, despite being the site that houses the saint's remains. They were put on special display during the Jubilee year to commemorate the 800th anniversary of his death.